Good afternoon. We're just here today with a guest. His name is Barry Choken. I've been doing a few things with our podcast, Courageous Heart, and we've been including our ministry, our music ministry, and some of the people that have traveled, they've evangelized, have experience in music. And so I've asked Barry to join us here today because he has some extensive experience. He's still a practicing musician. He's still very involved in his career. And he's had some good experiences with some men in ministry and presently in the music field. So I kind of wanted to get his perspective today on what that's like and some of the work that goes into it. He also has a testimony of how the Lord has been speaking to him, bringing music to his life and the kind of encouragement that music brings. So I wanted to welcome you today, Barry, and share a little bit about with us about how you got started in music.
Well, I grew up in on Manitoba Avenue, 486 Manitoba, just right across William White School. Everybody knows where that is. Anyways, my first adventure into music, I really didn't know how to play music yet. I was just so young, but I ended up walking across the street from my house over to the William White School. And there was a rummage sale going on there. So I think might have had, I can't clearly remember, it was so far back, but I knew I had like maybe 10 cents or something, or 15 cents or 25 cents, something, somewhere around that avenue there. And I purchased this drum kit, and then this drum kit was it was all yellow. It was a shiny, sprinkly old 70 drum kit. So anyways, I started bringing that kit over to my house. I bought it, and I was like walking across the street from piece by piece, and there was no skins on it, and I just started cutting cardboard out, and that was the beginning of my journey. I think I had a gift, I guess, that came to visit me that day,
How
and
old were you?
I think I was only probably I think I was only like probably oh gosh, I think I was probably 7 years old or 8 years old, somewhere in that,
Wow.
yeah, age frame there. Yeah, yeah. So
That's a desire to play drums for sure. That's a desire to do music.
yeah.
So from your from your drum kit into professional music, what was that?
The big transition from playing, and because I basically traveled with a preacher man, and I started playing drums for him, and then eventually throughout the years I just became way more better at it, and playing percussions and stuff like that. And so I went to a place called Professional Musicians College, and mind you, I was probably already around 16, so I was kind of just already exploring on what else could be done better in my career. So I went there, and I went to school for a little bit, and then later on I I kind of hit some rough spots in my life. I didn't really have an education, so I had to somehow feed myself, clothe myself, pay my rent. So I happened to be in a nightclub one night, and there was a country rock band there, local country rock band, and then I guess the drummer didn't show up, and they knew me. I was sitting in the corner over there, and then they said, "Well, this guy said he could play drums." So I talk about stage fright, man. I surpassed that part and jumped on the kit, and then away I went, and that was like, that's when I really knew that I was doing well, and I started getting a lot better professionally as a musician. Yeah.
Sounds like you had that opportunity to be affirmed, grow your confidence, grow your craft. Um, So what was that like, going from the preacher and the
Oh,
Christian music ministry kind of into the nightclub piece? Like how was
the transition part of things is it's a little difficult uh, to build it up as a testimony, but I really didn't have any other way to 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 take care of myself. And of course, I was kind of like I wasn't kind of, but I was in CFS like pretty much like as a young kid after separation of my parents and stuff. So that just kind of that was the journey that I had no other choice to take because I had to but from that I still believe my faith is very strong. I know that we all take different adventures and music. I'll use Ricky Skaggs for instance. He's a believer, but he still has to he still has to take care of his career, right? So I mean, yeah, that's kind of where it's at right now. I'm more ventured more into playing country rock. I play with a lot of skillful musicians, professional musicians, and yeah. So right now, that's where it's at, and I do my travels. Yeah, I still travel. Yeah.
I really believe that what you're sharing with us is, not only is it genuine, but it could be a consistent concern that a lot of ministry musicians or people face when their reliance is on the gifts that God has given them, the talents.
Yeah.
And so those places sometimes aren't what the general community might see as the places that we need to be. But we know that when the Lord is walking with us, we don't have to fear anything, right? We have the authority to tread on serpents and scorpions, it says. And the gifts are without repentance. God gives them to us, and they're meant to, color and shape our lives. You shared about an experience of writing one of your songs. And I know when we supported you with got a hold of your CD, you shared about the writing of that what's it called, Psalms?
Goodness and Mercy was
Goodness and Mercy, yes.
Goodness and Mercy was a really interesting song because I just I was just rolling along the highway one time and I believe I was coming from Ontario, and then that scripture kept coming to me, and then I heard an elderly man sing Goodness and Mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and just the courses he was singing. So from there I just I was at home one day and I started strumming it out on 440 A, and then A and E back and forth, A and E. But I mean, two chord songs are hard to write. It's got to have the chemistry. It's got to have it has to fit because that's what makes a good song. So, anyways, I wrote this song. It's called Goodness and Mercy. So I figured out all my lyrics in the beginning, and then at one point there, I got stuck. And then if anybody ever heard the song, it's on YouTube. But but there was one word I was stuck for. I got writer's block, I think, and I hit a wall on that song. And then the word that I was looking for, I in the most strangest places I found it in the when I was having a shower, and the word 45. This was fit into the song, and then so the scripture in my heart shall fortify me. That's how I wrote it and stuff. So that's how that song came about. I actually did that song with one of Manitoba's probably best producers, Craig Fotheringham. He's no longer with us, though. He's passed away. So yeah, that's how I found that song.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I really believe that we have an interesting connection to water. Water to many people represents a spirit. And when we physically come into contact with water, there's energy and there's chemistry, and sometimes we can hear things clearer. We can hear the voice of the spirit when people go for walks by the river, they go for walks by the sea. It's to make that connection.
Yeah.
And I really believe that on so many levels we're seeking the spirit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not surprising to me. I really find that natural for an artist and for a songwriter. What are some of the things that you mentioned that during that time that you were going through your rough period? Like you came from Child and Family Services, you came from a rough background, and I'm sure there's many young people, boys and girls, that are talented and gifted just like you, and they're looking for a path. They're looking for some way to connect to musicians, mentorship. Like, what would you say to them?
I think it's really important to know that music is a big part of our of who we are as gifted people and what God gives us, right, and to use. But I always say that I learned from being from in the system, and then trying to find my way out of the system was really hard because there was no mentorship, right? I didn't have really a mentor to walk me through. And I think one of the most important things is, I'll say to young people, is that, you know what, get your education. I had to go back to school, and finally I procrastinated so much that I I kept saying I'm going to go back to school and go back to school, and over and over and over. And then one time I was sitting at the employment office and I'm looking at the wall, and then there's a sign there that says get your grade 12, Stevenson's Britannia, and that's where I graduated from. I after I graduated, I mean, I do have some college behind me too, but I won't get into that part. Business, I'm a business-minded person. Basically, is what I've adventured in my school years. Otherwise, I just tell people, young children, adults, teenagers, it's never too late to go to school. Finish your education, because that's the key to the world. If you're stagnant, you'll stay stuck and you can't move. But education is the key, and it combines with my music. So I know how to do all my own music contracts. I know what to charge. I know what needs to take care of, right? And my guys, I take care of my guys, right? My backline. So yeah, education is huge part, for sure.
I think that's very important. I agree. I absolutely agree that it's something that gives our young people a foundation to understand not only where they're going, but where they might want to go, because that's their chance to check it out. Like you said, you started with drums, and now, like when you came to see us, you were sitting on the keyboard and playing the piano.
Oh yeah,
And
I just ended up at your
yeah.
house, and I was like, "Where am I? Somebody feed me!" No, it was really good. I just, you know what? There's so much that comes with education, like, because when you go into the music business world, that's a totally different league. That's a giant, like, And of course, the biggest part of this interview is that I started out from playing a little drum kit, and then and eventually got nominated for a Grammy award, and then moved on over to being a student musician. I gained 2 Juno Awards, nominations for not award but nominations, and then so you know what? There's nothing wrong with get your education, because you got to learn the business part of things, right? You, you don't get burnt. You gotta get your education. That's for sure. Yeah.
What was that journey like for you to be nominated at the Grammys, and what CD or what were you
Oh,
working on?
it was a CD that I was on with my friend Rob, and it was called Red Letters, and I joined a part in there. I guess we just kind of stumbled over this song called Glory. It was written by a lady from Montana, later recorded by a friend of mine, Jim Felix. And so I called up Jim Felix one day. I was like, hey, you don't mind if we, do this song? and he was up in Saskatchewan. He said, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." So we gave that song a good go, and then the biggest part of that song is that I was the guy behind on the keyboards using the Navajo flutes. So I mean, it kind of just spoke to the song, and the song spoke to and it just fell into place, and it was actually in this building is where I sang that song Glory. So
Wow.
yeah, in this building. So it's amazing that I'm sitting here today, and I'm telling my testimony of music and stuff like that. And mind you, I don't I can't take any glory for that. And basically it was given to me, and most interestingly, this part of in the middle of from the drums to the Grammys, I was in a CFS home, and it's funny, but I'll make the shirt. But I was sitting under this oak tree on a bright sunny day, and I was sitting there, and I was just sitting there, leaning against a tree, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, from the sky, this big pile of water, I would say, or whatever, splashed on my head. I thought a bird pooped on my head, but it was water. And then a message came in that splash, and I heard a voice say, "You're gonna be a songwriter, and you're gonna be successful in what you do." That's all I heard, and to this day I still remember that. So it'll probably be in my book eventually. I'll be writing a book. So yeah.
That's powerful
Hmm.
to have experiences that are markers and milestones in our journey.
Yeah.
And that, you know, I think that it's really critical for us to kind of recognize, who, like you said, you were given that gift, and to recognize that, God is with you regardless of, our stature in society or where we come from or who we are, whether we have an education or not,
Hmm.
that God never leaves our side, and
Yeah.
he takes us through all the way. Um, so you are a single dad, and you have one daughter, two daughters.
I have like two sons. One lives in Arizona, and he's married to his beautiful wife. She's Navajo, and my other son lives in Winnipeg here. He cuts hair for the Jets. Helen Buck and those guys. And he's a successful barber. He's second place champion here in Winnipeg. So that's my son. I have a granddaughter. She danced with the Nutcracker. So I have like a stretch of talented children. There's my daughter that lives with me. Her name is Eden. She's from the Dene part of country, and then there's my daughter Shoni. So I have two boys and two girls, and that that that's beautiful. Yeah.
That is the best blessing. So I just want to thank you so much for coming out today and sharing your story. I know you have a busy work life and a busy schedule, but definitely will be keeping in touch with you and following you up on YouTube, Facebook.
Yeah, I have. I'm actually working on a video right now, and the song I wrote is called "Desert Road." I think I wrote that quite a while back, but I did that with the Seaweed Band. But I'm still working on getting a video out there because I mean we want to bring awareness that the suffering of our people, and the ripple effect on how it came about. But I believe this is the time, and this is the year for it to be shown and heard. So yeah, for sure. Thanks for
Wonderful. So maybe I can bring you back for a second update one of these days.
yeah, for sure, definitely.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you, Barry.
miigwech, yeah, for sure.